Everybody signed in. I have everybody's contact info. I promise I won't bug you at any more meetings or contact info. You can always email me or call me anytime. A couple folks have reached out in between the meetings. For those of you that I haven't met, I know a couple of new faces. I'm John Trant from Strategic Solutions. This is our second meeting of the Cecil Township Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. Because we have a few new faces, I don't want to spend too much time, but just a few minutes to recap what we did the last meeting to get everybody caught up to speed. We'll revisit our SWOT analysis for a couple of minutes and then move on to some new stuff at this meeting. So for those who weren't at the last meeting, last time we talked about why to do comprehensive planning, talked about the scope of the project. We spent most of our time doing a SWOT analysis, which we'll review tonight, and identified some priority issues through that SWOT analysis, talk about the project schedule, public engagement we didn't get to, we'll get to tonight. So the bulk of last time was spent about why comprehensive planning, and in a nutshell, it's important to lay out a roadmap for the community's future from a development, land use, infrastructure, administration, management standpoint. This project will give the community a roadmap for the future. It'll also help support future capital planning and grant applications. So it's a very important process. As I said, our SWOT analysis was the bulk of the meeting. In your folders on the right-hand side, for those of you here last time, on the left-hand side is the old stuff. On the right-hand side is tonight's stuff. And in there you have my notes from the meeting. We had lots of big poster sheets on the wall that we filled up with lots of good ideas. The committee brainstormed strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats facing the township. And what I'd like to do is review that from a high-level standpoint with you, confirm some of the priorities we identified, and make any changes necessary. Before I go much further on that, tonight we're also going to do some review of the mapping, talk about public engagement, traffic infrastructure, and giving you a little bit of homework at the end of the meeting. Is there anything, though, before we dive in that anybody else wants to talk about tonight or add to the agenda? I just want to give that opportunity. Was that
I just have a correction.
Sure. Okay, yeah, when we get to it. Well, before we dive into that, yeah, anything additional you want to talk about tonight that I didn't already complete? Yes.
Being in my first meeting, I did read this second class or their guidelines on this. I could say I want 5 acre lots, but there's just thinking about against me. Is there any kind of balance? Why waste 2 hours talking about the lot size when you said, that's the issue? There is some kind of handbook or?
Can you please speak up, Bill?
Yeah.
He asked if there's a handbook for comprehensive planning. So the Department of Community and Economic Development has a variety of local government handbooks. One of them is on comprehensive planning. That's a good guide. In terms of keeping you legal and keeping the guide rails on, I certainly have been doing this for a long time and I can help with that. For example, your specific question about lot size and zoning, municipalities planning code regulates that, gives the municipality the authority to adopt zoning. You can adopt pretty much any lot size.
But if I'm right, they should take our suggestions. We're before the planning commission in this new picture. If we say we want something, then they'll have to adhere to it. How's it work?
The planning commission ultimately will review and recommend this to the elected officials.
All right, now I'm jumping at this. If we decide on something, then it would be up to the planning commission to implement our vision.
Correct. The plan would go from here to the planning commission to the board.
Yeah.
And then to implement, a lot of the items related to land use and zoning would go to the planning commission and the supervisors. Right. This is
Right, there's so much parameters. I know anything can be waived or stretched a little bit. But in the big picture, what we decide here today, sort of have to implement.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to, but it's a recommendation.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
And where can we get those samples so we read and maybe save a little time?
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to save some trees. I won't print them out for you, but I'll just send you to DCED's website, which is, I think is it still in I'll send you. Yeah, I'll send you a link, and there's a whole library of documents that are really helpful.
Thank you.
Any other items? Yes, ma'am.
Can I also, on your point, I kind of also think that that's one reason. Is that, am I correct in saying that that's also why we hired you to kind of direct us into what we are allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do?
Well, I don't direct. I'll facilitate and keep with the guide rails on.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's
If you want to pave the entire township, then paint the streets red.
That ain't happening.
But I mean.
Maybe just the opposite.
But you would perhaps advise us, this, handbook or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I can give you advice or
Right,
guidance. Yeah.
advises us against, doing such a thing, so
Correct.
we might not want to do that. Okay.
To help explain the question, I think it'd be good, if you look at some of the past comprehensive plans, they have goals that they should try to meet. So that's basically what we're trying to do. They set some goals that we would feel that this is where the township should be in 10, 15 years.
No, exactly, and I sort of just want to know what the game rules were, to play within the guidelines,
Yeah,
I know they don't drop kick in football anymore and make a little example, I don't know, let's do rules,
Right, right. And to use your example about the lot size, we probably, and that's a good point that Andy had about the goals. This plan will set the roadmap and the goals. We're not going to get down to setting lot sizes here, but a goal might be to preserve the rural character in a portion of the township, and to implement that, we've got to adopt zoning with large lot size. But that adoption of that zoning happens way down the line by planning commissions.
And not to keep going on, because we're told that at the regular meeting, well, it's already done, you can't do anything about it. Where can you do something about it? Because by the time we hear about it, the media, it's a done deal. And I don't want to jump to that, but you see what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, this is where it's at.
Yep.
This is where you develop ideas, make recommendations, and
We have some people.
you have the ability to recommend. I can't say you have teeth. Ultimately, the supervisors adopt the ordinances.
Ultimately, we let the supervisor who represents us in the zoning commission. That's that.
We are a democracy. Yes.
And that's in our SWOT analysis. From the last.
Thank you.
Anything else that you would like to add to the agenda? I will get that information out on the BCD. Okay, so let's pull out the notes from the SWOT analysis. I'm going to skip the first two categories. We'll talk about them later. We started with our strengths, and I'm just going to hit the high levels here. We talked about our number one strength in terms of votes being community, then rural character, parks and trails, accessibility, low-ish taxes, South Point, road maintenance, and ignore any typos. This is just me quickly typing up the big sheets that we had in front of the wall. Road maintenance, affordable, room for growth, available land for growth, local government, decent tax base, please ignore that. School district, fire, volunteer, police, EMS, and 100 miles of roads. So in terms of strengths, our top three were community, rural, and parks and trails, and lowish taxes. The red asterisks, when we were all done and we had them all spread out on the walls, I asked you guys to go back through and say, irrespective of the number of votes that each got, when you look at it all in its aggregate, where are some of the priorities? And those were the red asterisks. So we identified community, character, parks and trails, and lowish taxes. So looking at that list of strengths, is there anything that's absolutely missing? And is there anybody that feels adamant that those asterisk items are not top priorities in terms of strengths for this?
You know, it says, I don't know what it is. 100 miles of roads is on the township road.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to make a correction on the corridor.
Sure.
I believe there's a fourth one that could be in Eric, and you guys can help me with that. I thought maybe Red and Georgetown would be the corridor. Corridors take you in and out, so I thought there should be a fourth corridor.
What was it again?
Mayview Road and Georgetown, instead of Georgetown, Mayview. I'm just throwing it out.
On that end of the township, that's people who do that. Or
And that's
So I thought that would be important,
they're contracted.
you agree with that?
Good point, that's very important.
Okay.
I have one comment to make regarding the roads. The 100 miles of roads that we have, those are our municipal roads. That does not include, is my understanding, the state roads.
Right. Yes, I will add that clarification.
And that's my point, because I'm on the highway all the time, so I know it doesn't impact zoning per se, but that's something I think in the big picture. We have an interstate running through our township, so we're going to have a full road through our township, and we also have state roads, and I just thought that should be part of that clarification, identification.
So if I ask you again 6 months from now, nobody's going to come out at the 11th hour and say, this is our #1 strength for our community. At least as far as this group's concerned, all possible strengths are listed here, and priority strengths are the community character, the parks and trails, and the township road network.
Well, I agree with Bill that the interstate now and the up-and-coming interstate are going to be assets.
So maybe we expand the, oh wait, I had the lowest taxes was
Yeah.
already, sorry, I was sidetracked with the roads. Do we want to add the roads as a high priority? We have it listed way down the end there, but is that a strength of this community, including the interstate?
The state roads, I'm sorry, the interstate roads are a strength. The state roads, I think have a good bit to be desired. And our municipal roads, while they have improved, they're not totally done yet.
Okay.
My only point was I just want to identify that there are other
Now, a
roads.
state
That's
road,
not a
Sure.
priority.
we have,
I mean, as long as it's on there.
Okay, then we're going to stick with lowest taxes, parks and trails, and community.
I think we need a steering committee for.
That is
and
what
we want
Cecil
to
is all about.
Because I spent a good
I think
and
there's 50 calibers.
I think if we had a community.
So if those are listed as the strengths, the others that are there, we may address as well, or?
Well, I mean, we're not going to, the scope of this project, we're not going to dive into every issue in detail that was identified on here. So we want to identify the priorities as this committee sees it.
Well,
So what's missing?
I would say that it's important to fire police and EMS, or just to evaluate that. I believe that the previous comprehensive plan showed 1 officer for every 1,000 residents, and that definitely needs upgraded. We have 21 officers now with 13,900 residents. But we swell in the work hours with South Point, maybe 7, 8, 10,000. So it's justifiable, but that has to be addressed.
18,000 cars a day on the last study in South Point.
18,000 a day?
18,000 a day.
And so that number sounds really low for employment reform.
Well, and maybe we have to evaluate and
Maybe
see what
that's
the
what
residents
South Point
are, or
wants.
what, you know, the new residents.
2006. It's only 5 years old.
I don't know if that accounts for probably.
South Point too. Exactly.
Is it a priority strength, though? Is our EMS, police, and fire a strength of this community? Yes, we'll address
I
those
believe so.
issues.
I mean,
Okay.
we have a
I
really
agree
good
with
officer
that.
crew and
So we'll make it a priority.
fire department.
Lowest taxes, parks and trails, community, and fire, police, EMS.
I would think that as a strength of the community, actually, lowest taxes, absolutely, parks and trails, the rural nature of the community, the small town feels that you get through the town, but accessibility is so important as well. With 79 coming through, access to Pittsburgh, and state roads, they're, as Elizabeth pointed out, they're kind of a weakness right now, right? Because I don't think the state's given them the attention they need. I think maybe something we should be looking at a comprehensive plan would be guiding future planning commissions and board of supervisors to put pressure on the state to actually address that weakness. So
There is a
it's-
process to do that.
So
the accessibility is the potential accessibility is a strength. The current state of the state roads is a weakness.
We do have that